Welcome back. As a part of project management, project identification, selection, and planning is one of the primemost aspect, or we can call it as a step or phase. In project management, when we talk about project, so fundamentally it is associated with number of activities or actions, like it is related with implementation first of all, then risks are there, time scales are there, financial matters are there. Definitely altogether people are involved. Any kind of a project it is, there is a scope for the project and purpose for the project. So as if one simple picture I have shown here, these are some of the prime most components or elements as far as project is considered. As all of we know that there are number of areas where projects are initiated. Simple things starting with, say for example, since from engineering point of view, we talk about IT sector, there are number of projects. Purpose may be different. It may be for banking purpose, it may be for e-commerce purpose, it may be for consumer based, it may be for any government area, uh, some service providers, any purpose may be there. There are some other areas like the area maybe of building and construction, or maybe manufacturing industry, maybe some specific pharmaceutical industry or textile industry. So everywhere there are different kind or different types of projects. Project may not be necessarily a very big kind of a say organizational activity, or something which is like having a very large scope and span and all. Project may be anything, a small project which at student level you are doing, starting from that till a simple project where nowadays startups are there, or maybe a project like a new kind of some sort of say activity, or some sort of say we have started something as a new venture, or maybe anything like it may be from trading, it may be from hotel management, it may be from a simple shop, or it may be a building construction related, or maybe a particular manufacturing industry, and altogether maybe IT sector. So project is a very broad term used here. It is not limited one. In day-to-day life, or project may be a simple proposal, and for the sake of some sort of some financial related say activity, or maybe investment, or maybe trading, anything it may be. So purpose varies. Accordingly, its scope is going to vary. When we talk about any commercial project, based product based project, or manufacturing industry based project, then the scope is different. When we talk about service industry, the scope is different. When we talk about financial and marketing related project activity, scope is different. When we talk about any other sector, that is a social event, or some environmental project, or maybe some government projects are there, so scope differs altogether. By default, the people component which is all together involved in all this is going to differ in a small scale to large scale, medium scale. It is individual, it may be in a team, it may be as an organization, it may be a trust, it may be public limited, private limited, whatever it is. But involved people component definitely is very important. Then the other part of this particular is where here you can see there is an implementation, there is time scale, there are financial matters, and altogether there are some risks. So whenever we think about project altogether as a in the broader sense, then we are not only have to limit ourselves in just by thinking that this is a purpose, this is a scope, these are the involved team members or people, or a consumer or a customer or a client, and this way we are going to implement. Parallelly, we need to think about the entire budget involved, the business associated, the financial matters associated, the time bound, that is also a very big component, because it has to be a timely activity. Project is not something which is going to be there all together, mm, say without any time limit, because there is a basic difference between project and operations. Sometimes operations may be not may not be having some time bound. Rather, many a times operations are like all time, timeless kind of activities initiated or taken care. But projects are having a closure. Projects are having deadlines, conventionally speaking, from management theory point of view. So therefore, time scale is also very, very important, and altogether risks are also there, no doubt, because everywhere, whenever we think about any project belonging to any field or a sector or industry or social or environmental or economical or financial, anywhere risk is there. And as a part of project management, that risk is also to be encountered in the beginning phase or in the beginning step itself. Let us have through this small session, we will be having 2 3 sessions where all together I will discuss on various aspects of project management. Out of that, this is one point, that is in this presentation we will be focusing on project identification. So therefore, myself, Supriya Kurlekar. So I'm sharing with you some of the aspects, components, and we may call it as, for the from the beginner's point of view, some basics or fundamentals associated with project identification. Okay. So first of all, we'll think about some of the key approaches. Before going for key approaches, definitely I would like to mention here that project work demands lot of planning and efforts from all those who are involved directly or indirectly. The basic understanding of project life cycle is very, very important and vital for every project manager, especially, or a project leader. Uh, because if it is well begun, then definitely have done. The successful initiation of a project plays very important role in its ultimate outcome. Whenever you start any project, at that time we have to basically first of all think about the opportunities that are going to result into a benefit, both in terms of earning profits, or we will call it as an economical benefit, and definitely the another part is solving the underlying problem, because fundamental role or purpose of any project is to somewhere solve the problem. So let us briefly discuss about what are these key approaches whenever we think about any project in the beginning. First of all, we have to think about the trends which are going on, and based on that, we are going to get the opportunities, because a huge investment may be involved, not necessarily always huge, but it is a relative term. But because it is basically a financial matter and the investment is involved, so that's why we have to think about whatever are the current trends. In almost every business area, there is a pattern of growth in terms of customers' changing preferences. Whenever we launch any new project, we have to think about them. We have to study those changes, because few years back, whatever was a trend in, say, for example, garment sector, or maybe in cosmetic industry, or maybe in some other sectors like consumer based products. So not necessarily it is the same trend, where no be, maybe in the automobile sector. So the trends are changing. So accordingly, whenever we initiate in the beginning, we have to think about those trends. Uh, Even in today's scenario, after a pandemic, there are lots of changes as far as overall the trends are considered in all sectors, all together in the uh, lifespan and lifestyle of mankind. So one has to think that information must be available. Observing such trends definitely is going to help a lot. We are going to get statistical reports which are published, or maybe from a research point of view, if some specialized companies or organizations or institutions are providing such statistical analysis, we must take that particular for a reference. And because these reports are most of the times free, available on internet, and definitely they are going to give you very valuable information which will help in your project initiation part. Secondly, the basic purpose of project is definitely solving problems, because many projects are there which are initiated from problem solving point of view. Very often, organizations face problems which hinder their growth prospect, and therefore they are always in the process of getting over such problems. So these problems are going to force them to think definitely for the solution and launching some specific projects which are actually the solutions. They are there to provide solutions for existing projects. Recognizing such problems and developing innovative ways or the innovative methods or techniques to solve them is definitely one of the great opportunity or the approach when project is initialized. Uh, then we need to think about it, like what exactly is behind. Just let me make one change. There's a small spelling mistake. Just I need to correct. So that's okay. Thank you. Now, next thing is identifying gaps in the market, because it is important. It has been observed that over a long period of time, always exists a certain very specific segments of customers uh, and the companies, those who are serving or providing something target oriented or a particular intended customer oriented. And beyond that, there are some loopholes or some gaps which we can identify. They always exist between the actual market, the producers or the one who are developing those products, and the buyers. So this is always a key area where if we are able to identify proper gaps, then definitely that will help in initiating the new project activity. Okay. Next thing is analysis of the performance of existing industries. So by default, whatever study reports are prepared considering the profitability, utilization, the risk factor, then opportunities, the capacity of the particular industry, or the way region wise, area wise, particular uh, product oriented. So many performance parameters are there, and the existing industries are there. Accordingly, we can prepare a kind of analysis report or a statistical analysis which can help to identify the new opportunity or a scope, and that can be one approach when we go for project identification. And next is analysis of economical and social changes. By default, as I mentioned in the beginning, there are huge kind of changes taking all together all over the world. It is rapidly changing. It is not that one particular product in one area, one style in one country. No, 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 no. There is no limit. You can have lots of options economically. Whatever we get in few years back when we used to talk about China market and such China made products and all, they ruled the economy. And once there are so many other companies and other countries, even in country like us also, when we started, then those reforms are there. No doubt, there are different categories. Economical is one part. Another part is social changes, because these social changes are actually motivating and encouraging for some sort of such development of different products for different purposes and different group of people, no doubt. So that is also one say area where we can touch and we can get an kind of a project ideas, and we can identify them. And lastly, where we need to keep on knowing about the real-time facts of the market and businesses which are in and around, not only limited to one particular region or say a state or country, but nowadays it is a global altogether. So review of import and export opportunities and possibilities for the product or the project which we are going to initiate or if manufacturing point of view, if we are going to work for that, or if it is a design type of a project, or if it is some sort of analytical part of a project, or if it is a research project, then definitely we need to think about this import export, and accordingly we can work on that. So this is a kind of a approach one should have when one wants to initiate or identify the project. These are some of the areas, or we can say that these are some of the say facts about the possibilities or the sources of new project ideas. Uh, First one I mentioned here, examination of input output of various industries. As I mentioned already, because existing industries, we need to have a kind of analysis, and we can examine what kind of inputs they are taking, and from that what is the kind of result or the output in the form of a product or in the form of a service, and that can give us idea, yes, we can change this, or we can have this sort of additional feature or additional service or something like that. Secondly, investigation of local sources and material or resources. So altogether, whenever we begin with some new project, so this investigation is going to help us a lot, because there are a number of ideas which are much suitable for a particular region, or maybe for particular area or group of people, or some from social aspect point of view, some particular society, or a kind of a group, or maybe there is a segmentation, demographic or geographic, whatever we can call, typical age group, typical say group of people working in particular area, or n number of means there is no limitation. There are categories, the different categories. Like it may be for housewives, it may be women based, it may be only for children, it may be for old age people, or so many. So, and for them, there are local sources also in terms of material as well as in terms of resources. Here, resources is a broader sense, including manpower. So, if anything you want to start, like a business of some appliances related, some service related, some social kind of a event related, or maybe anything. Food sector is one of the biggest sector, considering the local material available, agricultural aspects, the resources involved, the environmental conditions. You can start anything. So this is one example just I'm mentioning, but there are unlimited kind of options available. It may be food sector, it may be kind of garment sector, textile sector, mechanical industry, manufacturing industry, building and construction, fabrication, or so many, cosmetics, other services, allied services, so many. Computer, IT, these are again at the top. I am not mentioning them explicitly because by default they are everywhere, they are there. Third point is government policies and plan. While deciding any project or initializing any project, that is also key component, because there are some restrictions, there are some constraints, there are some priorities, there are some sort of regulations. So, and altogether, that's what I mentioned. These are the policies. So, when we think about any building related project, then FSI, that area, their other land record related matters. So many factors are there, like or water supply, or maybe some environmental conditions, criterias, some certificates required, some license required. So many things are there, and government is announcing regularly different policies, some sort of subsidies, some sort of say eligibility or qualifying kind of parameters from document completion point of view when we start any project or plan. So all that is to be taken care. That can give us some additional ideas, like here this is we are getting this kind of a benefit. So that's why, because this is the government policy, like nowadays Make in India and startups and all. So there you have a great opportunity. Then there are project ideas from technical specifications point of view. As I mentioned, there are a number of such sectors where we can get an idea for providing some solutions. And I have used here word technical because it may be well defined kind of a requirement, because projects are based on requirements, and those requirements may need some technical, specialized, expertised kind of, say, network or initiation or involvement, and that is going to provide some solution. Like there may be a problem because of some environmental conditions in one particular area, then there should be some solution. There technical solution must be there. There are some problems where due to some social constraints or some social components or social, we can call it as an, say, impressions or influences, some problems are there, and as a part of solution provider, one can find some sort of technical solution for such problems, for the betterment of society and all. It may be from anything. Like here, I would like to mention like sector like medical sector, health related, the big sector, or agriculture related sector. So there we can have some constraints, and with the help of some advanced technologies like IoT and automation and robotics and all, we can provide some solutions. There is lots of scope. Then lastly, there are from local leaders or industries or organizations, we can get some inputs, and they can help. That can be one of the source from where we can get good project ideas. And some specific sectors and entrepreneurs, because they are also in need of some sort of solutions for some problems. So that can also be one sector from where we can get good project ideas. So these are some of the options which I just mentioned. Now, the say we can say that, say something which comes in picture, that what should be the selection criteria when we go for any project. So nicely, we adjust from management theory and principles. These are some of the facts or criterias, we can say. Uh, some factors, like one thing is, first one I mentioned is the production factor. This is a factor when we select a project as a criteria, because we may, in our imagination and as superficially, we may think about so many things and a dreamy project we can announce. But practically, feasibility is one of the biggest component. We will be in our later session, be discussing on that feasibility study, when we initiate any project. But before that, let us have in this presentation some other some basics. So out of that, this is one where project selection criteria plays important role. Like when we think about production as a factor, then we need to think about the time to complete the project, availability of resources, flexibility of operations, connections with existing production lines, energy requirement, for that the resources available, expected quality and the service involved, and availability of technology or the expertise. So we can't simply say that, so many things I mentioned from production point of view: time, resource, operation, the connectivity, altogether the energy related issues, and the quality and availability of technical expertise or technological support, or whatever we call. This has to be considered firstly. Second thing is marketing factor may be there, because that is equally important. Finally, ultimately, what we want is the outcome. It is a business model. So marketing plays very, very important role. Is it possible to do proper marketing based on the customer segment? Can we focus the customer? Is there any probability of extension or expansion in the market once we complete this particular project? Is there any export or import kind of issue? Maybe we can call it as an export as an opportunity and import as a threat, isn't it? Because if import is going to hamper our business. If same thing is there, there is an, say, sector where uh, sections or society or organizations or industries are importing, and the same thing or similar thing we are manufacturing. So that may create problem. That is a threat for our side when we start project at any location or anywhere. Then customer acceptance is also important from marketing factor point of view. Impact is important. Expected market share and the current status of rivals, that is also important. Time to achieve proposed or expected market share, isn't it? Because we are marketing, but how much time it is taking to reach to the customer or to reach to the actual society, whatever is our expectation, that time span is there. So from marketing point of view, how much it is going to take, so that must be a criteria when we decide anything to sell in the market. And the current stage, what exactly is in the market, so that is also to be considered. Third thing is financial factors. So since everything is related with finance, then definitely there are some parameters which are to be considered under this criteria, financial factor. That is cost, expenditure, current financial position of the organization or the firm or our own production house or whatever. Then possibility, as far as payback period is considered, how much we are going to get, time period to reach the break-even point, working capital needs, how much, that also to be considered, and altogether the profit. So profit margin and return on investment is one of the biggest uh, and very important component as an criteria under financial factors while selecting any project. Then the next is personal factor. So it is definitely related with the manpower and the skill required, and impact on existing employees, or whenever there are some changes in the working environment or working style or technologies, then whether we get that dynamic, say, involvement and outcome and from the team which we have, whether they are ready for that, that also is one important point. So what kind of people as a team members we have gathered, so as a personal factor is to be considered while uh, as a part of selection criteria. And definitely the requirement in the form of skill and knowledge and the altogether the attitude, so that is also a personal factor. And next is the legal factors are there, because whenever we start anything, some matters which are actual uh, technical matters, government policies, some patent related or any other legal complexity, space or the particular restrictions and barriers, so many are there. So all those legal factors are to be accounted in the beginning. And lastly, but equally important, that is strategic factors, because that is going to give the actual image and projection of the company, what kind of strategies you are implementing, and is going to decide your altogether the approach and attitude. Acceptance by existing stakeholders, that is affected by what kind of strategy you are following or you're applying. Then long-term mission is one of the important fact, as far as whenever there is a strategic plan for any project in the beginning, then mission and the objective goals are to be well defined, clearly defined. And in case of any sort of failure of or any problem, uh, that they should able to cope up with that, so that is also equally important. So these are some of the factors which are associated with project selection criteria. Altogether, in the beginning itself, identify initial requirements when we talk about the project, then validate them, identify framework for the solution, uh, prepare required reports or some sort of statistical analysis, perform that, do that appropriately. And then think about the required training and skilled, say, manpower, and accordingly process. So these are also equally important factors as far as the um, project selection is considered. Now let us mention the key components. Like in management theory, you all might have heard about the P principle or P model or P theory. So out of that, here we are talking about three P's. Like first one is people, second one is process, and third one is product. So all the three are equally important. As far as in general people are considered, then we have to think about the team, we have to think about the stakeholders, and we have to think about the required project related communication. So team is responsible for planning whatever skill is required, what they will need to do. We need to understand experience if it is required. Then we need to understand. Then stakeholders, how will they need to communicate? Who are they? How they are involved? So that analysis must be there. Availability of them, then budget altogether. So that is also equally important from team point of view. We need to conduct properly, regularly the meetings of stakeholders. We need to communicate all the related, say, aspects, or whatever are the progress, whatever is the progress going on as a whole implementation. So those who are directly or indirectly involved, internal or external stakeholders, as a part of project, we need to communicate each and everything to them. So that is important. Then second thing is a process. As far as second P is, it is associated with method, it is associated with tools, and it is associated with risk. So whenever we think about the method, then definitely it is associated with some sort of resources and collaborations, because whatever implementation we will be having, like say for example, yes, a small example I will mention, like in IT sector, if we think, then definitely we have to think about what kind of resource we have. Suppose our project is database project, our project is on the Python platform, our project is Java based, web designing, whatever. So what kind of resources we have, and what kind of collaborations we require. Maybe collaborations required from other aspects, like it may be operating system related, it may be a data set related, it may be some other software or hardware support related. So those collaborations are to be taken care. When we announce or decide any method as a part of process, we need to think about it. Then tools, that is tasks and planning, because whatever method we have adopted, for that whatever tools we are going to use, so whether whatever expected tasks, is it possible to complete with that or what. So what kind of resource planning and management we are using, accordingly what how we have distributed the tasks, and for that what we may need to have some sort of records in the form of sheets or some workspace, or maybe a website, or maybe so many other, or maybe some for guidance purpose, or some service and support purpose. So all those are to be taken care. And finally, there is a risk, is also one of the biggest parameter, because whatever assumptions we have done as a part of our project activity, those assumptions may generate or may create some sort of ambiguity or a conflict, which may lead to risk, and that is risky. The assumptions are always going to have another side of coin, is a risk. So one has to think about it. So it may be market, it may be a social change, it may be environmental, it may be political, it may be any other, right? Like a natural hazard, something. So disaster, anything may be there. So it is not necessarily like in our control. Sometimes it is not at all. Like the one which happened just 2 years back as a pandemic, as a all together global kind of a, say we can say it is as a situation, and it was not at all in control in the beginning few months, rather almost 6 months period. Then somehow people started handling it, and finding some ways and way out, rather how to get rid of it, or not we learned how to live with it, not get rid, because it was not in our hand altogether. So such risks whenever are there, we need to address them properly as a part of process. So here some issues or some assumptions are playing equally important role. And lastly is our product, which is actually our ultimate aim. When we started the project, we want to start the project, we have identified the project, we have selected the project. All together it means in the form of deliverable, we have done all this, and now we are in position. This is our scope and deliverable, which is all together associated with this. Requirement is there, timing is there, budget is there, and measure of success is how exactly it is going to give you the profit, or altogether from business point of view, how well business we did with this particular product is the biggest uh, issue, or we can call it as is a point we need to answer. When once we say that yes, we have done this, so that is a responsibility. So in the beginning itself we need to think, this session was as a beginning session. We are not talking about the thing which we have done. All these things we are thinking in the beginning. Okay, we have not finished, we have just initialization or initiation stage of project planning and uh, selection. So there itself we have focused on these three P's, that is product, process and people. So this is deliverables. Just in the while preparing slide little bit, I am not able to arrange it properly, but okay, let it be. It is not that much important. Deliverables is something which is our key component, key part of all this model and theory and concept and whatever I discussed. So that is product. And here product is again brought up because in general project is under two categories. It may be for product or it may be for service. So deliverable is sometimes as a outcome or as a sub product of a service, any service, or it may be a pure product from the manufacturing industry. So these facts we need to encounter: timing, budget, and requirement, scope. And based on that, there will be a success, measure of success, some threshold, something we should set and as a target. And based on that, we should start our work. So thank you. This is all about the beginning part as far as the project identification, selection, and planning is considered. In next session, we will discuss about some other aspects like feasibility study, work breakdown structure, and planning and processes. Thank you.